that we need some way to understand exactly that time is going by. It's very difficult when all you've ever been is young. That's all you ever know. And so you don't understand that you're getting older and older and older. And eventually when you walk around and you see these elderly people and they're walking through the park or whatever, you're going to be one of those elderly people one day. But it's very hard to realize that at a young age and act on that as if you have any sort of urgency towards that idea. With that said, I'm going to introduce you guys to arguably the number one biggest physical productivity tool that I have that's really helped me accomplish what I've been looking to accomplish and help me continue to accomplish the missions and the big goals that I have for my future when I get to be an elderly person. So guys, this is that tool. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Must Become YouTube channel, where I believe what you can become, you must become. That means if you have any potential within you or want to become something great in life, it's your obligation to become that thing. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that's actually really close to my heart. This is something that is a bit of an idiosyncrasy for me. This is not something that I've seen too many people talk about, to be honest. But again, like I always say, this is something that I really do think gives a lot of value, and I do think you guys will be better for listening to. Before I get started, if you like this content and you've seen any of my other videos, please leave me a like on the way in. It really does help me with the algorithm. It helps me push it out to other people who might gain value from this. And also, if you want to see more of my content, I'm putting out content more and more regularly in 2023. So please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. With that said, let's jump right into today's topic. Guys, it's a difficult realization, but we all need to realize that one day we're not going to be here. That's what this channel is about. It's about recognizing that while we're here, it's our obligation to make our potential become actuality. And so before we kick the can, we need to do everything we can to become something remembered, something amazing, accomplish a big mission, something that we look back on and we're proud that we did. We want to leave a legacy. But obviously, as most of my viewers are young men, I'm a young man myself, that we need some way to understand exactly that time is going by. It's very difficult when all you've ever been is young. That's all you ever know. And so you don't understand that you're getting older and older and older. And eventually when you walk around and you see these elderly people and they're walking through the park or whatever, you're going to be one of those elderly people one day. But it's very hard to realize that at a young age and act on that as if you have any sort of urgency towards that idea. With that said, I'm going to introduce you guys to arguably the number one biggest physical productivity tool that I have that's really helped me accomplish what I've been looking to accomplish and help me continue to accomplish the missions and the big goals that I have for my future when I get to be an elderly person. So guys, this is that tool. $12 Casio watch. You might have a nicer watch. You might have something like a Garmin or an Apple Watch or even a Rolex, a Patek, whatever you have. That's awesome. But this bad boy has been absolutely fucking instrumental in my life. Now, let me explain to you exactly how I use this $12 easily replaceable Casio watch. First thing this thing allows you to do is be respectful of not only other people's time, but your time. Now, we talk so much about being here for other people's time and not being late to meetings and all sort of stuff because people want you to be respectful of their time. And I get that, and that totally makes sense. That we're talking about in the here and now. When I talk about being respectful of your time, I'm talking something a little bit beyond that. I'm talking about the idea, again, that one day you're not going to be here. And so you need to understand that every moment you have is fleeting. I'm not saying don't go and have fun and, sit in your room and constantly think about, oh, I'm going to die one day, I'm going to die one day, because obviously that can be pretty depressing. But what I'm saying is it is a fact of life that eventually we need to use something that can keep us tethered to the here and now and tethered to the reality. So I'm here to tell all young men that they will be better off if they wore a watch. Of course, I'm not just talking philosophically and how this can be really, really valuable, but I'm going to actually tell you a little bit about why I choose this watch specifically, and I'm going to tell you how this can be used to help your productivity in the day-to-day. First, before I get into how it helps you in the day-to-day, let's go into a little bit about this watch and why I like this so much. Again, this is just a $12 Casio watch that I got off of Amazon. You can find it in lots of different places. It really doesn't matter what color. This is just the one I've had. I've had 7 in my life. I've lost some. I've broken some. I will say sometimes, after maybe about 4 years, this strap kind of begins to break down. Let me tell you why I choose this watch. So the first reason is just the price. Guys, it's $12. So that means that, like I just said, if it breaks or it gets smashed, which I've had, even the screen, I don't know if you can see here, my screen is a little cracked. You can't really see on the camera, but yeah, there's a huge scrape right across the screen. The thing is that it's easily replaceable. You can easily get another one of these. If you lose it, it gets stolen, you break it, whatever it is, right? The next thing that I'll say is the settings. The settings are so simple. Now, the issue with Apple Watches, if you guys watched my last video, I spoke about focus tunnels, productivity tunnels, and how you don't want notifications around you all the time on Discord, on Asana, on Messenger, on all these different places. You want to be able to avoid that. So This bad boy, bless its heart, has no connectivity to the internet whatsoever. And that's absolutely what you want if you want to focus. Because I know the Apple Watch can help you with intelligence, can help you learn a bunch of stuff and help you know a bunch of stuff. But like I said in my last video, in this day and age, focus is even more important than your intelligence, guys. So this is gonna help you with focus, not necessarily with your intelligence, but with your focus. So let's get back to the actual watch itself. This bad boy really only has a couple of settings here. Right now you see it set to the stopwatch. One interesting thing about this stopwatch that I might improve, I will say, Casio, if you're listening, this is one thing that I might improve, is once it gets to an hour, once you set the stopwatch and it reaches an hour, it just resets. So it doesn't tell you that it's counted an hour, it doesn't tell you that it's counted 2 hours. It just tells you it's been an hour, and then it relapses and it goes back to 0. That's one thing that I would change. Because most of our work and most of our intentional effort will be broken down to 60 or 90 minute kind of tunnels like I spoke about recently, it's still perfect. So that's the first thing, is the stopwatch. I use this feature a lot. You can even see right now that my watch is set to the stopwatch setting. Yes, I do use it for time, but my stopwatch is most important. The next thing is it tells time very, very well. You can see here where I am right now, it's 7:35 a.m. This tells time very, very well. So I've noticed on some of in my apartment, I have a microwave, I have a kitchen, I have in that kitchen, I have a oven, I have a stove, and those things all have clocks on them. And what I've noticed is that you leave it for about 3 weeks and they start saying different time. So that's really, really annoying, obviously, because that shows you that it's not counting time that well. And this wasn't something that I really valued until I really got into wearing a watch and I realized, hey, my little $12 Casio always says exactly what my iPhone says. And if you know anything about the iPhone, it's actually updated by Apple. It gets internet updates, so it's actually super, super, super accurate. However, if I were to just walk around with an Apple Watch or an iPhone, like I said, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of what I'm talking about not being connected and having the ability to track time just kind of on your wrist without any notifications. Always stays accurate. After, I'm saying 3 years, I've had this one in particular, and this one always stays exactly where the iPhone is. So this one is absolutely perfect. So the timekeeping function is amazing. Obviously, guys, it's waterproof, all this sort of stuff. But this watch has everything you're going to want to need. But the main feature you're going to want is that stopwatch. Okay, it's perfect. It also has a little alarm on it. If you want, it can beep at every hour. That's really great. Again, for just tracking when time goes by. I also don't turn that on because that can be a distraction when I'm in my focus tunnels. But guys, the stopwatch is absolutely amazing. The last thing that I'll mention about this watch before I mention really, really, really how I use it is that it's really low profile. So when it's on my wrist, I'm just gonna put it on for you guys right here. You'll see something that I love that's way better than, again, no offense to any of those other brands like Garmin, Apple Watch. Those are great tools for other things potentially. Actually, I do have an Apple Watch. I'll admit, I do have an Apple Watch that I use for meditation. I like to come out of my meditation with a buzz on my wrist as opposed to a actual beep. That's the only reason I bought it. I don't ever wear it other than in that time I'm doing meditation once or twice a day. So that's about it. But you can see, guys, it's very low profile. So what this means is that if I'm sleeping, right, it doesn't bother me. There's not this big bulky thing on my wrist that's constantly bothering me. Or if I'm working out, it's not. One thing that I realized is when I was working out, if you're doing a bench press, right, your wrist can kind of come back a little bit, right? Probably shouldn't, but right, it can kind of come back. And I noticed that when there's a really bulky wrist, it'll really pinch your skin right here. Really annoying because I wear this while I work out as well, which is what I'm going to get into in a second. So again, guys, it's affordable, like incredibly affordable, $12, right? It's low profile. The stopwatch is great and it tells perfect time. Guys, this is everything you want. Oh, it's waterproof too, if I didn't mention that. Here's how I use it. Let's get into it. First thing, guys, I time everything. I time fucking everything, okay? So I time my workouts. When I go to the gym, what I specifically do is I don't start it right when I begin my workout. I actually time in between my rests. Now, we've talked about this idea about progressive overload. We talked about how we can essentially little after little introduce more difficulty into your workout. Now, one way to do that is increase more weight. That's great. Another way to do that is to actually decrease your rests. What I do is I don't decrease my rests, but I make sure the time between set A and set B, I make sure that that is a standardized rest time. Now, the reason I do that is because, sure, let's say I'm doing a big heavy shoulder press, right? That's great. Today, I took an extra 4 minutes between those two sets, where last time I took only 2 minutes. I don't realize that even though it seems like I'm keeping the same quality of workout, I'm not. It's actually very, very different. I had double the rest period, which is going to allow me to actually be quite a bit stronger in that next set, like most of you guys are going to know. So standardizing your rest times is really, really important. Now, again, some people could use their phone to time the whole thing. Some people could use an Apple Watch, like I said, but I think this is way better because, again, the low profile and the ability to just very, very simply hit start. So what I just do is I hit start and then I watch my rest set go. As soon as that thing hits a minute or whatever it is, 90 seconds, whatever it is you guys want for your rest set, or sorry, for your rest periods, right at that time, whether you're tired, whether you're not, do it right there. Or at least if you don't, you know how much further you went where you weren't actually able to work out right after the predefined rest set. That's the first way I use it, is while I'm working out. The next thing really pertains to what I mentioned and complements my last video, which I kind of hinted at already, which is the focus / productivity tunnels. I use this thing to time when I'm focused. So when I do anything, okay, when I'm studying, one of my passions, one of my hobbies is studying a language. In my free time, I really like to study languages. So there's a language that I'm doing right now. And whenever I'm focused on that language, I set it for like an hour, or like I set it and I let it run until an hour, and I will not break my focus until that hour, so that I know that I'm getting these regular hour intervals. And again, you'll have to go back and watch my last video to see exactly why I time the way I focus, and because I build it kind of like a muscle, but I've seen it to be huge and give me lots of gains with respect to focus and productivity. But I use this as the physical tool to really tether me to that amount of time. So again, I would not use an iPhone on airplane mode. I would not use a computer. I would only ever use this, and don't knock it until you try it. Also, so when I'm focusing, another thing is when I'm reading books, it's an amazing thing. Or when I'm in the office and people are bothering me, I have a little slider up above my desk, which a lot of the employees have as well, where basically it's red or green. And essentially what I will do is I'll put it on red, meaning no one can disturb me. If you want to come up to me, you'll see that things on red, you can't talk to me right now. And that is basically, again, tethered to this watch. When this watch hits the 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever it is you've determined to be your focus tunnel where nothing's going to distract you, no notifications, no bathroom breaks even, no one's coming up to you asking you a question. This is how you determine how that works, okay? And it's always on my wrist. So that's how I focus at work, is when I want to get something done. Guys, if you guys are still in high school or university or whatever, if you guys are studying, this again is absolutely fantastic. Like I keep mentioning, it's really the tether to reality. It's tethering you to the idea that you guys don't have infinite time, okay? You don't have infinite time, and it also serves as a bit of motivation. It tethers you to being motivated, because what it is like, if you want to give up reading a book, you think, oh, this book's kind of boring, or, oh, I'm studying this language, or whatever it is. I use that as an example, but whatever it is you're studying or working towards, building an online business, building a brick and mortar business, no matter what it is, I'm so used to setting this now and just starting that stopwatch. And when that starts, I know in my brain, there's not going to be any attention residue left on anything. There's not going to be anything like that. Because I talked about attention residue, I mentioned in my past video that it takes maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes to really get super laser focused on what you're doing. It serves as a lot of motivation that when I look at my watch to see how much time I have left, or that quick look back and forth, which I don't think is really going to take any much attention away from me. When I do that quick back and forth, I see, oh, I'm at 25 minutes. Okay, now's the time that I'm feeling really, really good. I already knew I was focused, but it's this feedback of noticing, okay, great. I'm really in the zone right now. Really, if my phone goes off, if whatever happens, assuming I didn't turn it off, which I think you should, your phone goes off, your someone knocks, whatever it is, you really know, nope, now is the sweet spot. I'm not giving that up, right? It's been really instrumental in that way. But like I was getting to, it's really, guys, it reminds you, you begin to see the more and more time it go, I went from the philosophical to the practical, and I'm going back to the philosophical, because it really does remind you, it might not seem like much, but having this on your arm and using it ritualistically, where you really use it a lot for a lot of things. Whenever you're doing anything, you're focusing, you're studying anything, working, just timing and seeing, even if you're just curious to do some work and you're like, okay, how long am I gonna focus for, right? And you do some work and you're like, wow, that's probably been an hour, and you look at your watch and it's been an hour and a half. You feel like, wow, I really do put a lot of time in it, and it's great. But then you also, on the flip side, like I was saying philosophically, you do begin to see these things that waste your time. Oh, I'm just gonna play an hour of video games, let's say, right? Play an hour of video games, and you look at your watch and you say, and it says it's been 2 hours now. It doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't have the same impact when you're just looking at the time as when you're using a stopwatch. I feel like when you're using a stopwatch, because you use it for so many other things, you have this kind of like relationship with the stopwatch feature where you know how to time your life, and you see, holy, that just took 2 hours away of when I could have dedicated 30 minutes. That seemed like it flew, and you could have dedicated 30 minutes, an hour of that time to something more productive, or something you would have enjoyed in terms of your longer term perspectives, not just here and the now, what feels good. Now, again, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not here saying that you need to time everything. I'm just saying that I time everything because I think it's so valuable, and it's given me a really big appreciation for when I'm wasting time. It also lets me come back to things that I need to do, and lets me come back to things that I need to enjoy. So I'm timing, I'm like, look, I've done 3 hours today of direct reading on something I'm trying to learn. I've done 6 hours of work, whatever it is. I deserve 2 hours, an hour, 3 hours, whatever it is, of something else, which I can also quantify on this with this little guy on my wrist. After a couple of weeks, it really gives you an appreciation of how time works. It begins to remind you that you are getting older, things are happening, things are changing. And this guy really, really represents that and reinforces it in your brain, and it gives you a bit more urgency just in life. It's something that I really don't think you can understand until you try. But once you do try this, you're gonna realize that, oh my God, like I wanna get more tasks done. I realize I only have this amount of time in a day. And you get to this point where it's really exciting to hit start and hit pause on that watch. It gets really exciting. It's kind of like a bit of a feedback. It's the same way as these habit tracker apps work. You wanna check off, or even to-do lists or Asana, whatever it is. You could use Monday.com, whatever it is. You wanna check off these little tasks you're doing. It has a very similar effect where you wanna hit stop on that watch because you're like, there it is. There's the 2 hours of just grinding without losing focus or whatever. So guys, this video has been about my little Casio watch. This guy is absolutely my sidekick. My sidearm is super, super helpful with respect to productivity. If you guys are interested a little bit more about how I specifically use it and different specific applications that I do with respect to my work, with respect to my focus, with respect to my working out, anything you guys want to know, please leave me a comment in the bottom. I get back to every single comment that I receive. But guys, again, super underrated. No one seems to talk about this. And there's a reason why it's not an Apple Watch. It's not a Garmin. It's not using your iPhone. It's not your computer. There's a reason why it's exactly this guy, this little $12 Casio watch. So with that said, guys, I will let you go. My name is Spencer. This is the Must Become YouTube channel. And I hope that if you guys got some value, you guys can leave me a like to let me know, or you guys can subscribe to my channel so you see upcoming content. I would hate for a really good video to come out that could help you specifically in your life right now and for you to miss it. So please leave me a subscribe or a like. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you in the next video.